We're just fighting the Lufenia Plus fight, alright? Our team's gonna be Noctis, Llyud, and Cid Raines. Reason why I picked Cid Raines is because his EX is broken as hell. Lyud's EX refills other people's EXs. So I originally thought they were gonna be a good match. Let's see how it goes. Alright, let's see how we do here. Yo, Llyud looks so freaking sick, bro. Llyud with Cid Raines. It looks like a superhuman tag team. I'm gonna set up the warp advance first because I want to do a 0-turn run. So I'm gonna. If you're wondering, for those people who don't know how my runs go, I usually try to do a 0-turn run with my teams because I'm extremely anal about my turn count. So, 0-turn run with Noctis is my favorite thing to do nowadays. I really like Noctis, man. Noctis is honestly probably my favorite protagonist in all of Final Fantasy. Keep in mind, guys, I haven't played Final Fantasy, like any game, like whatsoever. Opera Omnia is legitimately my first start at playing any Final Fantasy game ever. But my best friend really likes Final Fantasy 15, and she goads all the time about how Noctis is so cool. And thinking about it, I really like, and even just watching the fighting sequences that he's in Final Fantasy 15 or Dissidia NT. I really like how his weapon mechanic works. Jumping all the time, teleporting. Teleporting was always such a cool idea. That's why one of my favorite superheroes back in the day was Nightcrawler. And Noctis is... Honestly, Noctis is just Sword Nightcrawler if you think about it. But, yeah. Pretty decent damage. We got 86 and 84 on the enemies. I think overall this fight shouldn't be too bad. We're gonna set up the Jack call. Jack's still one of my favorite calls today. I honestly don't understand how I would ever clear these Lufenia missions as easy as I am now if I didn't have Jack call. I mean, I guess I do have Sephiroth call to a degree, and I guess I also do have Fran, but normally I actually like doubling debuffs on Fran and Jack. It's just really... It's just maybe just a safety kind of thing for me. Just to make sure that I'm doing all the damage possible. And also I have Kais here as one of my calls. Because whenever I launch with Cid Raines, I always want that Brave refund. It's just a nice safety measure, in my opinion. I don't really use Cid Raines. I don't use Cid Raines if I don't have either Barks or Kais call. I really couldn't see. He really doesn't do as much damage as he possibly could if he doesn't have either of those two. But, you know, that's because I'm extremely anal about turn count. I'm sure if you're a lot more lax about how fast you clear these bosses, you wouldn't really care as much, but, you know. It is what it is. I suppose the only problem I have with Noctis ever since I've greeted him, and trust me, this isn't really that big of a problem, is basically just the turn order. Sometimes if the turn order of how the bosses start is really important, then having to re-roll over and over and over again to try and get the right turn order for the bosses, on top of having Noctis be the first character, it's a bit frustrating at times, and sometimes it'll take me like almost 10 minutes to just re-roll and try and get the right turn order. I suppose that would be the only annoying thing that I could think of. And, you know, I guess the other annoying thing would be maybe not the best BT effect auras, but, you know, honestly, I'm not really looking too deep into the auras of Noctis. I'm more so just here for the off-turn damage and the 0-turn kind of thing. I really like turn manipulation. It's a really cool pick. And I gotta say, losing Llyud for the first time, he's kind of interesting. I do like the EX aspect because I like spamming skills, and if I'm able to somehow spam skills that aren't normally spammable. That's a really fun mechanic in my opinion. And especially if I'm able to use broken EXs over and over again, such as Cid Raines or Iroha, or even Null. Then that'd be really... That's why I pulled for him. That's not really why I pulled for him. I pulled for him because he looked cool and I heard he was a support character. I don't really think too deeply about whenever I pull for characters. Pretty much my criteria for pulling characters is if you're a favorite, which I rarely have any favorites because, again, I don't play Final Fantasy at all. If you're considered a broken character in the game, or if... I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. One of those two, honestly. And Llyud looked really cool to me, and I always have a soft spot for support units whenever I decide on pulling or not. Because support units are a lot more longevity. Because support units are a lot more friendly to longevity than DPS. DPS could get old in like a couple months, but support units, if they're good enough, they could last for even a year, in my opinion. I still use Porm to this day. Porm is still one of the best support units in the game so far, in my opinion at least. And when she came out, like September, like August, a while ago, and she's still one of the best units in the game. It's crazy how consistent she's been in the meta. I know everyone's talking about like, oh, I don't like meta. Meta, so you're supposed to pull for faves. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely true to a degree, but you should definitely still try and pay attention somewhat to how good a unit is meta-wise. It's not like you're gonna take a freaking Mog to every single Lufenia fight you play. I understand. I fully understand, you know, wanting to play your faves, which I still do, which I do to a degree because I play Noctis in all of my teams now. But there has to be a healthy balance in between meta and faves. You can't just... If you decide to only pull and play for faves, then expect a little bit of difficulty when you fight these Lufenia missions. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't do that. You're absolutely free to do whatever you want. I'm just saying it might be a little harder for you at times. But, you know, it is what it is. We're gonna set up another BT effect. I'm still baffled at how much damage this BT effect does. I realize it's only single target, but hell, I've still seen some single target BT attacks that still do around 1 million damage, but Noctis does 1.5 million. Hell yeah! No, I think we're gonna set up the C-Call just to do some extra damage. Also to get Noctis do that. Ooh, I love doing that, bro. I love using other calls that aren't necessarily usable just for extra damage. It's just, I don't know, it's just that icing on the cake for me. It's really, that's one reason why I really like off-turn damage, because you can find lots of ways to manipulate getting more damage out of your turns. It's honestly very nice. It's one reason why I like COD a lot, and one reason why I still think she's one of the best units in the game, and also Noctis. This fight hasn't been too terrible, I suppose. I haven't had to use my summon or Null yet, and we're, what's the percentage? We're at 47 for one of them, and I think we're at 25 of the other. Pretty good, in my opinion. Yeah. And yeah, we got 1 million damage there for the EX on Cid Raines, because Cid Raines' EX is freaking cracked. Cracked, bro. That's crazy. Anyways, we're gonna use a summon right now because I want to be able to set up Null, and I want him to have Noctis's LD buff by the time the summon phase is done, and we can still keep that 0 turn count. Because Null, if you switch Null in now, I won't be able to use his BT effect. And if I switch my character, if I switch my Cid Raines in for Null before or after the summon, it's gonna count a turn because Null won't be able to have a Noctis LD buff. So that's why it's smart whenever you're using a friend unit just to switch them in during the summon phase. so Noctis can get that LD buff with no worries at all. We're almost done with one of the characters. We're at around 5%. I decided not to get a green for Null. Because A, I literally just green Machina beforehand, so I didn't have nearly enough resources to do that. And also, I've used Null as a friend unit like a lot, and to be honest, the damage isn't too crazy in my opinion. I know everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, Null's part of the 1 million club, but listen, Cid Raines and Twins been doing millions of damage even before Null. What you talking about, bro? Null ain't special. Yeah, you can do the break mechanic. Yeah, cool. I'm using Noctis anyway. We don't even gotta worry about them having turns, bro. So that doesn't really apply to me. I will definitely be trying to get locked though, because he is part of the 1 million club. But he also has a lot of utility to him. I heard that he does an effect where all of the party has... If the party is below 50% of health, they go right back up to 50% health. So basically, Lock turns everyone into Bosch, and that's really nice, because now I won't have to worry about if any of my units are dying. So that's a nice thing to have. So we're gonna use a BT effect. I wonder if this is gonna kill. I doubt it, but... Yeah, I don't think it's gonna kill, but you know, I don't think we have too much to worry about because the LD buff is still okay. Yeah, we have Noctis' off-turn damage. We're gonna do a little bit, and then I think one more attack will do it. We have 3%, hopefully. Yeah, we're gonna do the EX, and that should be enough because the EX usually does around 600k damage, including the off-turn. So theoretically we should be able to beat it. Yeah, we didn't even have to do the off-turn damage, bro. Alright, well, that was a pretty fun Lufenia fight. I gotta say, Lyud's pretty interesting. I wouldn't say he's broken at all. I wasn't expecting him to be broken. But, you know, he's a fun character. I'll definitely use him more. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all next time.